Swayam Prabha. Digital India. Educated India.
Galloway, in his book 4, discusses 4 very influential corporates of the modern internet era: Amazon, Facebook, Google and Apple. And he says Google is by far the most influential of these 4. And today we are going to take a look at how Google operates and how Galloway actually speaks of it, to understand what are the effects of some of these platforms and on our lives today. And very interestingly, Galloway sort of compares Google to be a kind of a modern day God. Says just as God is someone who is omnipresent everywhere, and he or she hears people's prayers. I mean, people can pray to God at any point of time. Similarly, one can search on Google at any point of time, and whereas God heard all the prayers but did not answer many of them, Google has an answer to almost every question. We would be very interested in the kind of evolution of search engines. Before the coming of Google, there would be search engines which would allow readers to sort of ask questions, and they would be given answers, where there will be other search engines which would only take in keywords. But Google sort of has a certain kind of algorithm which sort of answers every question. And interestingly, whereas with God, if there is a certain kind of fear that God might be judging the kind of things that we ask God for, Google certainly, one says that what Galloway says is that Google will not judge anybody. But of course, research has moved on from Galloway's text. One of the risks of research on the internet is that this is such a fast changing and fast moving world that some of the conclusions that you might reach might alter with changes in operation or finding out of more information. So we now know that Google might actually judge people and track people. Certainly it is possible through artificial intelligence be able to track people and put them into certain categories, and that is something that I am going to talk about later on in the lecture. But for now, let us stay with what Galloway says, and that what Galloway says is true, because is true in terms of the fact that for most users, they wouldn't realize that Google may also be judging them. On the face of it, Google does not judge anybody, but what we realize that if we we are signed in to the search engine, Google keeps a record of keeps maintaining a record of what are the various kind of things people are each person is sort of searching at any point of time. And so, for example, if we ask a very very frivolous kind of a question, or like what is Brexit, nobody is going to tell us, "Sorry, you don't know what is Brexit." So you won't be judged for asking the wrong question. Google will still give certain answers. So usually God is someone to whom humans pour out their deepest secrets and thoughts which they don't share with anyone who is alive, and Google tends to know our deepest secrets, because the first thing that we do is and he says that research shows that people confide in Google at a frequency and a level that would scare any friend. And there is a certain degree of trust that is there. People trust God, and people also tend to trust Google. So and they trust Google precisely to find the answer to their questions, and says 1 out of every 6 queries on Google are queries that have never been asked before. So it shows that people have all kinds of questions, and even questions which they are not able to find an answer from anywhere. They sort of trust Google to do that. And it says that God tends to know what we may do in the next few moments, or next what our deepest desires are, and Google also knows, is able to predict users' intentions through the kind of algorithms that Google has, and that is something that Google really makes use of. So this is a very interesting way to put it, the kind of power that Google has over users in the modern world. And almost everybody has a Google account and uses Google, and Google has perhaps because of Android phones really. People have Android is distributed by Google, and Google has information on a vast sort of set of users, which is larger than any country. And perhaps some of these corporate houses like Facebook and Google are perhaps more powerful than most countries of the world. So what are the implications of this kind of functioning on human life and human existence? He says that Google as a form is very different from the other company that he is discussing in this book, which is Apple. He says Apple is a luxury goods company, but Google presents itself as a public utility. In fact, Google has become a verb. You say, let's Google it up. You just Google it and you get to know a certain thing. By the way, I would like to also suggest that Google is not the only search engine that is around, which works very well. There are other alternatives to it, and so Google is not the only way to do search, but for a vast majority of the world's internet users, they wouldn't know that there is any other way to search the internet other than Google. That's the kind of omnipresence that Google has. And look at the kind of products that Google has. They have an ambitious strategy over organizing the entire world's information. In fact, one of the things that Google does is to convert the world's information into everything in the world into information, into data. Really, you have Google Maps, which is ubiquitous. People now do not ask each other for directions. We don't stop by the chai wala or the pan wala to find directions anymore. People just go on to navigation and look for the navigation, and by and large they work very well. They also give you traffic information, which the chai wala or the pan wala may not be able to provide. So that is constant flow of data that is generated from its users, and tracking each phone and everything. And then Google Sky. So this is Google is on Earth, and Google is in the sky. If you want to go to Google Sky, you will see the way the various stars and the satellites and the moon are placed in the sky from particular locations. There is the Google Ocean project, which tries to map out the ocean flow. The Google Library project, or Google Books, which sort of today is able to convert huge sections of books which are out of print, books which have been published. The entire collection that is on Google is mind-boggling. And the fact is that users may not be able to look through these books for free, but Google has access to it, and therefore Google is able to sort of throw up the kind of search results which can be unparalleled in the world for anything, and it's converting, and the possibility of the kind of usage of this knowledge of human output through the ages, through the centuries, is immense. The pitfalls of it are there. Of course, mostly the books that are being published are in English or in the European languages. It hasn't really picked up in the form of other non-European languages. But one of the things that I did sort of demonstrate in the course of this lecture is the Google Ngrams platform, which sort of is able to search through multiple sort of books across the centuries, and sort of throw up a result as to what are the important sort of words, or run through the various terms, and you can run experiments, and at any point of time Google is really looking at reading through within the press of a button, reading through. This is a search that I instantly conducted. So if I, let us say, I want to search the presence of the term democracy and how it has occurred across the world, we find that it shows up a result, and we very clearly see that it is from the 1830s that the word democracy really comes about and starts getting used, and the spikes that we see are just after the just around the two world wars, when democracy, where the need and urge for democracy or discussion around democracy really goes. But there is of course a dip at around the turn of the century in the 1990s, and that would be interesting to look up. So what it is doing is that it presents Google with this huge ability to sort of search through, and this is just Google is just throwing up the search results without actually making the content of the books published. The ability to be able to really tailor make its projections are very extremely powerful. There is the Google Arts and Culture project, which documents museums. The Google News, which is able to throw up news collected from multiple sources. It is a very interesting sort of platform, where if you are logged in, it will look at the kind of news stories that you are interested, and send you notifications on your phone, on your browser, and will sort of throw up a list of news stories that are supposed to be more relevant to you. The implications of this we will discuss in a later lecture, but for a moment, that's this tremendous amount of power that gives Google to be able to customize news stories to specific readers, which allows it to mold people's views if possible, and it is at the epicenter of the digital world. Various other kinds of tools which are there, the Google Chrome browser, the browser increasingly becoming the most popular browser worldwide, and therefore is able to collect a lot of data on user activities. YouTube is, and the number of videos which are added onto YouTube every second worldwide is just humongous, and almost every smartphone, I mean the large number of smartphones, the cheapest smartphones, use Android, which is a Google device, and so therefore Google has access to all the data, all the behavior of people's when they are using their phone, where they are going, what they are doing on with their devices, is something that Google has constant access to. And of course Google Drive, it gives you, and the fact is that some of these applications work so well, so seamlessly, very well engineered, and which leads to a certain kind of user base. I am not saying that Google is producing the is the only source of good products. It might be producing some of the best products, but it is not the only source of good products. Given that it is a public utility, of course, Apple does also produce very good products, but it is a more premium sort of product. So, what we realize is that this fact that all these, for each of these particular sort of services, you can have alternatives. For example, OpenStreetMaps could be a very good alternative to Google Maps, but you know, there is the coming together of all these applications for the user is becomes very important. I mean, the seamlessness with which you are able to deal with it, the fact that you can move from one particular record. So, if you have Google Docs and you have Google Drive and you have Google Form, you can connect these together. You can connect your Google Form to Google Maps, or you know, there are or the calendar to Google Maps. So, in fact, I have not even listed all the various applications that are here, which are numerously more, and there are many other applications which are still at the beta stage, which is at the experimental stage. And so the point is this sleuth, this kind of, it's almost that bardic repertoire. The bard, when they told stories, you know, they could pull out newer things, more effective things for every audience. And Google is perhaps a modern day bard, a very giant bard, who is able to weave these kind of applications around every user. And it's in the connectedness. It's the whole is more than the sum of the parts. That is what Google really becomes. But we must also and how Google actually invests in, and here he clearly talks about in terms of the search results and the advertisements. The Google says that invests in trust. You know, Google sort of when you search for on Google will make a clear distinction between organic results and sponsored results, which are ads and which are not. There is a certain algorithm through which Google works. It tracks the order of the search is on the basis of a certain logic. The certain search results show up as the top 10, which sort of makes it interesting for us to see, you know, because if on Google certain search results become the top 10, then they tend to remain the top 10 because they are the most visited ones. But there are other ways that Google calculates this. The more number of sites which are linking to specific sites, the number of clicks it gets, it collects data on how long a certain viewer is landing on a page or scrolling through that page. And and Google is seen as having no agenda while answering queries, that it is not particularly trying to, it is an algorithm which is agnostic to ideology or other kinds of biases, and it is seen as having no real agenda, and it appears impartial. But of course, we need to constantly have this rider that, you know, with Google there have been cases, if you follow the news, you will find that Google is constantly, there you see the kind of notifications that keep coming moment one sort of gets onto the on a certain site and everything. So, you constantly, the mind gets exercised, something that Carr was talking about, and you see that immediately I was distracted from this lecture while even lecturing, but pardon me for that for the moment, but I thought that was a very good demonstration of distracted reading. Anyway, so we find that you know, this trust can be a little bit of a question, because if you are trusting merely Google's ability to search pull out the most relevant searches. That is one kind of trust. But the other kind of trust is whether Google is protecting the user privacy. And we find that Google is collecting data. Sometimes it can be collecting data without the consent of people, if news stories are to be believed. And we also see that the Google homepage is the most simple and elegantly simple home page. There is no clutter, there are no images, no nothing. This is a very simple page, just inviting the reader, the user, to sort of put in their question, type in anything that you want to know, and that is there. But what Google also does is that it sort of when you start searching for something, Google also does try to predict what one is searching for. So when I search, it gives these search prompts, and that sort of it is being able to do this because it is tracking what everybody else is searching. In fact, if you go to Google Trends, you see I do not use Google as my default search engine. All right. So we can see what are the top things that the world has been searching, and you can of course and it gives a visualization of the data and a whole lot more. This is the world data. You can also customize this to a specific country, and if you look at India, we can see exactly what India has been searching for in the past 24 hours. So these are some of the things that and you can see what has been the most important things that people have searched for in a particular year. In 2018, these were some of the things people in India were searching for, and Google is of course collecting all this data and helps it produce better and better results, but also gives it a lot more power, because it is then using all this information to sell Google ads, Google advertisements. And Google also invests in trust among the corporate customers, because corporate customers who are buying Google ads are believe that Google as business is run by mathematics and not by greed, and you basically, if you are paying for something, you will get the results that you are looking for. You will get to, so when an advertiser, the way the advertisers looks at a certain dashboard, a certain interface of the Google ads, they can sort of customize. I want to target my ad to people who are interested in buying toys for their 6-year-old children, and Google should be able to figure that out. Who are the people who are looking for toys, who have been searching for toys, who have been visiting sites of toys, because from Google Chrome they are getting that information, and it sort of monetizes that information. It extracts revenue from anyone who wants to use that user data, the hopes and worries of the users, the dreams, and advertisers then present these their products as solutions to all that. And one other point about when Google is using the searching and browsing data, it identifies does it identify users as individuals? I mean, or does it identify users as specific sort of identities, and the identities are identities of desires, and identities with whom then they are pairing certain advertisers. So, what would that do to issues of uniqueness, identity, the individual who is what kind of individual is the individual of the digital era? Is the individual of the digital era a different individual than the individual of the print era? Because we did discuss the fact that print and capitalism sort of gave rise to individualism and and a growth of individualism. So, and what are the long term results of this kind of ways of operating of these large corporate houses? We discussed Google today, but some of these processes through which the larger corporate houses do, the kind of data that they collect and the kind of applications that they provide produce. Let us say Amazon began as a corporate house which sold books, but now virtually everything it sells, and the way it tries to monetize people's desires, and they are able to throw up certain results, certain. So when you look at a certain product, it will constantly keep advertising. You can see that advertisement on when you are visiting some other site as well, and it will keep on saying, okay, you have purchased this, and here there are other alternatives to this. People who bought this also bought certain other products, which means the kind of information that they have either paired with their commercial goals. And though Amazon is not a public utility, but some of the mechanisms through which these kind of companies actually operate, even Netflix, when you or any other entertainment online entertainment platform, what they do is the kind of movies that you watch, they will try to sort of understand what your taste is and try to target you with that, and then advertisers also use this information to target a certain kind of advertisements to that particular user. What is this doing to us as individuals? Whether it is reducing the individuality, the unique identity, or to certain kind of market groups, or politically, what are the political implications of this kind of operation, sustained operation, is something that is a matter of research, and only as this very fast moving ecosystem of the online world moves on, we will be able to gain more and more understanding of how the internet really pans out in the future.